It's
I tried a lot of different variations.
And not a semicolon though. It's a colon.
I wish I didn't remove it. I had
So
this whole thing.
Yeah. Next time, just bring it to the class, but because I think you know, and that's one of the advantage that if you want to kind of get to a situation where you want to have some stuff solved, bring it to the class. But keep your work, because that's
I should have just commented it out instead of.
Yeah, that would definitely help you. But yeah, that's good at it. You know, one of the advantage of this is that that's why I want to kind of have a session like at least every other week, whereby you get to have some of the problems a little bit solved. You're running into some issues here. All right. So, any other question on the assignment 3, the one that the exercise for 3, the one that I shared with you?
I'm actually going to be starting that tonight. I'm working on the first 2 exercises in chapter 3, but I haven't done the lab yet. I worked all last night on the first one where we rewrote the pay and had overtime, and I finally figured it out this morning after sleeping on it. I'd written the hours wrong. So it was.
So I'm assuming then that all the rest of you in the class, you guys are good with lab 3, exercise 3 that I gave you.
feeling pretty comfortable with it.
I'm gonna look at it.
Finished yet, but
there's a big difference between looking at a code and actually writing it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can look at it and you think, oh, this is doable, and then you get to it and you write it, and then it doesn't really quite work.
Right.
So is it that you've looked at it or you've actually done it?
Just looked at it.
Okay, so if everybody seems to have done that one, then I will leave
just
alone.
Just a quick question. Did
Yes.
you have a video example of this, of lab 3 exercise, or did you just have the text on D2L that gave us instructions?
I gave you guys just the text on D2L, and I gave the exercise for you guys. But I did something similar that last week, though. And if you look at the video that I did last week for you guys, it's kind of very similar. But let me show you something here.
Do you have the video?
I uploaded the video for last week, for 2 weeks ago. Not last week, 2 weeks ago. Right?
Yep.
So yeah, so we uploaded for that one, and that's the one that. Let me share this screen with you guys here. Please. And with this, you know, if you want to kind of tackle that kind of a problem, you can write. I'm going to come over here and do nano. Let me call it chapter
3.
Actually, I want to see what format I was using with other.
Yeah.
I thought I wrote some code before that I called chapter something or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to do nano now. No, and I'm going to call this one chapter 3, for example. I'm going to make it a 5. And I'm going to write something like this. Okay. I'm going to come up by saying score. And that I can say my score is equals to raw underscore input. Actually, I'm going to save this thing right now. Somebody that's Adiola, you were asking a question earlier on about you want to save something, it's not saving.
Yeah.
I press Control O, and I press Enter. Then I can exit out of that, right? And I can go back and try to do something like this. So
You can also tap Control X, yes, then enter, and to bring you back to the terminal.
if you do that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I can have my raw input over here and say, hey, and say enter a score. Hold on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up two terminals here for you guys because I want to show you something that I think is important that you see. You go over there.
Oh.
And this is very similar to what I did last week when I had it open on one side, open on the other side here. Right? I've always told you guys to make sure that you have your Python running. And in this case, I have mine running, so I'm gonna just type quit. So I can come back over here and just type Python and run something like this. Now look at it. It says something is wrong. What's missing here? I want you guys
Syntax.
to huh? What is the problem with this?
Well, you use two different types of quotes there.
Yeah, break our code. Let's go back and fix that one. Let's go over here. Let's say that. Let's come over here, run the same thing. Then it comes for this. Now, one of the things I always like to do is when I save my file, when I create a file, I save them as .py right away so that I can begin to see this color. When I type this a command line and I don't see this color, it's a kind of an early reminder to you that you're doing something that may be incorrect.
Yeah, that was the problem I've been having, and I've checked. I don't know where my problem is.
Well, now you can see what it is. You can see what I just did is now in front of you. So just step back through what I just did now and do the same thing, and it will work, especially because we are all using the same environment. Otherwise, maybe I will ask you to share your screen, and then you can do it, and we can all watch what you're doing and tell you what you're doing wrong. That's another approach. So I can say S my S now, which is maybe if that's for score, I can say because I'm going to qualify it. Remember, this is going to be a floating number because I gave you guys 1.0, 4.0, and so on and so forth, right?
Mm.
Okay, so you call this a floating number, and then I'm going to do something a little bit different because I don't want to solve the question for you or automatically. If I say my floating, I'm going to convert whatever score is to be a floating number, right? I'm specifying the type of what score is. Come back over here, and I'm going to bring my if into the equation. You understand? And I can say if 0.0, for example, is greater, and I'm going to do something similar to what I've shown you earlier on. If I say if 0.0 is greater or equals to S.
Do you want to mean less than or equal to?
No, I'm going to start from 0. Right, remember, you have to. We're dealing with range now. That extra, the question that I gave you is talking about range. That was why I was asking you guys, have you guys done it? It's not like I looked at it looks simple. No, I mean, have you done it? Because that question is asking you to do a ranging.
I have a question. Why are you choosing to start with 0? I would normally think to start with, say, the highest of the range and say, if it's higher than this, do, you know, X, and then if not, proceed to the next statement. If it's higher than 4, do Y, and then if not, proceed to the next statement, so on and so forth until you get down to the bottom of the range.
You could run it like that too, and it will work just fine. There's no reason why you couldn't do it that way. But follow the approach that helps you to write the minimum amount of code to a program. So if I say something like this, you know, X 0.0 equals to, you know, greater or equals to S in this example, and I can say S, right, is greater or equals to 1. Now, what have I just simply done?
Specified a range.
I specify my range. You know, I've just simply by this one specify my range, come over here. I've said if 0.0 is greater or equals to S, and S, I think I have 2 syntax over here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 1 extra. Okay.
So I said if 0.0 is greater or equals to S, and
Is that
S
for greater or less?
or equals to 1, right? Come out over here and state that. You know, some people say, well, do I need to do that? Not necessarily. So, well, you could do that. You could go around it a different way.
I can't see the left-hand edge of your nano screen.
Can you see now?
Yep. I guess. Okay. I guess I was seeing it. Yep.
And I can actually, let me put it on this side.
It was fine. Yep.
So on your if statement, do you have to indicate this range of S? Can you just say if, let's say, 4.0 is less than or equal to S, then you go to the print statement?
You can do that too.
Okay.
So you're going to see, that's why you look at different kind of code. People go about doing the same thing, and you can look at it, which one is more elegant. But first of all, just write a code and see how it works for us. Get the functionality out of the way, then go back to elegancy. Make sure that you write something that is elegant and get interesting. So if I have if, you know, 0.0 is greater or equals to S, and S is equals or greater to 1.0, then you come down to, then you go to if, right? S right here is greater or equals to, right, 0.9. Hold on. Take a look at that. What will I get with this? So here I'm saying, well, if 0.0 is greater or equals to S, and S is greater or equals to 1, colon, then I spin up over here. So I'm not saying do any action. Then I come back over here and say if S is less or equals to 0.9, right? Come back over here, and then you're going to see an action in this particular case here. And I don't like, I really don't like these stuff. That's where you get you can easily get syntax error here very, very easily, because you lose count of what you're trying to do. So I can just say, you know, result here equals to let me put a here, and I can say range. So now this is a long way of doing it, Because I could have simply just said print, instead of say result equals to, you know, A, and then print result, I could have just said print
A.
A. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how you look at somebody's code and you say, oh, wow, that's you wrote a good code, but I could have probably done this in a little bit shorter way.
Well,
Now,
this
let's
would
see.
actually be good if you had numerous grades that you're trying to set. Because
What
if
is
you're
that?
setting if you're setting result numerous times, then this is actually shorter because you don't have to have print A, print B, print C, print D. You just have result equals A, result equals B, and then one print.
Yeah, I know you could do that, but it will still be a lot. It will still be, if I come over and say if S is less or equals to 0.9 print A, then I can go and say the next one if S is equals to say 0.8 whatever print B. It will still be shorter. I think I will still have less line of code. I think this is still a little longer. It's more explanatory, but a little longer. But I'll use it. I just want to show you. I'm going to press enter here. What have I just done? Go back. So come over here. I'm going to try and do what I did earlier on. See. So here, if I say, because I want to print something, if I want to print A, then I'm going to make sure that S is, greater or equals to, if you look at our command, it's less or equals to 0.9, right? So if I say 0.
It's greater than, sir.
Huh?
It says greater than or equal to 0.9.
Yeah, no, so here, this one here, if S is what?
Is greater than or equal to 0.9.
Then what do you think this command will achieve?
Because of the first conditional statement of which says 0.0 is less than S.
So this one is saying if 0.0 is less than S and S is less than or equals to this, right? I've set up my range, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I've said if S is greater or equals to this, right? So let's say I print now, if I now print say 0.9, I should have A printed, and it does work. Printed A. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Yep. And if you print 0.8, it'll do nothing.
If I print .a, it would, because I have not set anything for A. Let's go ahead and do that. 0.8, right? So it just exit because there's nothing there to do. So I'm going to take this code here now and do just a little bit more to kind of show you this one. So now I said this one, print the result. Then I can come back over here and I'll try and do this one. Now I go to health if, right? Health, which is kind of like health if, right? Put over here, 0.8 greater or equals to S, right? And S is greater or equals to 0.9.
It looks like a 5 instead of an S.
That's 5, not S.
I just want to make sure you guys are awake.
Yep.
So you have 0.8 is greater or equals to S, and S is greater or equals to 0.9. So then I can come over here and do this and say result is equals to E print result.
Okay.
And I can come back over here and save it.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
If you say, if you come down and say print B,
Look
is
at
it the
this
same
now.
thing like saying print
What is
result?
missing here? 1 second here. What is missing here?
The
The
colon.
colon.
Hold on, exactly. Good. So you can see that after you've done this a couple of times now, it's easier for you now to spot where the error might come from. And then so when you have that error, and it just because you know, it doesn't mean that you won't make that mistake again. It means that you just figured out a way how to do it. So if I now say 0.8 now or 0.89 or something like that, you know, I just print B. And then I'm just going to continue elif until I get to, you know, a final hell, right? I can,
So
for
please,
example, I'll add one more line here so you could potentially see what it is. You know, so let's go back here. Okay, so I can say health. Okay, I'm going to look for 0.6. Now I'm jumping now. But in your case, you're going to walk this thing all the way through. Okay?
Why do you need to print the result after every one of these statements? Can't you just have the print result after all the LF statements?
There's a way you could do that, but you will have to rewrite this code entirely different. You know, there's a way you have to structure this.
So you're saying an LF statement, an LSIF statement requires an action before it can go to another LSIF.
Yep, you have to do that. So you have to
Okay.
restructure this code altogether to be able to do that. Because what you'll be doing in that case is you have to have this code read up on the entire program, store the value in memory, and then, you know, so
Yep.
there's a way you have to do it, but it will be totally different from the way you're looking at it. So I'm going to say 0.6 now is greater or equals to, okay?
Maybe you could just do a pass instead of a print.
I kept on saying, sorry, I kept on using less than and, you know, all the time. So just please correct me if I'm missing this up. All right, so this is 0.6 is less or equals to. I kept saying greater than. So here's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to put this one under this whatever section here. I'm going to say S here. Again. Okay. And so if 0.6 is less or equals to S, and S is less than, let's say, 0.7. Okay. Result equals to
D.
D. We can say, actually, let's leave it as D, right? Then I can say health. And in this case, I'm not doing health anymore. I'm closing this loop. I can say health. Okay. Over here at this point, print all right. So go ahead and save it. I say if 0 is less or equals to S and S is less or equals to 1, that's my range. And I'm saying if, and I didn't ask you to do anything over here. So somebody can say, why is this one there? Not necessarily needed. But you have to make sure you know how to balance this out, because if you just start this one out like this, there are times you run into some issue down the road. So then if S equals is greater or equals to 0.9, result is equals to 8, print result, tells it, 0.8 is less or equals to 8, but is less or equals to 0.9, print B. Now, there is something that jumps right at you really, really, really quick here. There's a problem between A and B. What is it? Let me do this for you. I'll print.
I see it.
So I'm gonna write
the
0.9 now.
yeah.
But look at this B. Technically, we're saying here that 0.9 is also B, even though this guy is ignoring it, but it's not showing it now because it's executing the first code and it doesn't even go execute this one.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But what I wrote over here is technically not correct, because the way I will have to do this is this.
Yeah, it doesn't get to that though.
Yeah. But if you had gotten to that, then it will have shown the bug in this code. Because the bug in this code is saying, I'm saying 0.9 is A and is B at the same time.
Yep.
So there's something that I have to change here that I need to kind of say here. Now it makes sense by saying, else if 0.8 is less or equals to S, and S is less than 0.9, then there's a demarcation between A and B.
Yep, not equal.
Beforehand, there is none.
I got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Couldn't you also have just specified like 8.99 or something?
You could do that, but then how much 99999 do you want to go? If you just say it is less than.
Well, I just assume you would have like some sort of rounding on the user input to validate it or something.
Well, if you have something to debug your code, yeah, except that this is not going to tell you you fail until you have a real situation that's going to kind of expose this kind of error, right? It happens in normal stuff, but you don't want to really set a number here. You just want to use the less than to capture whatever is less than 0.9. However long that is, let the machine deal with that. So if I now come over here and enter, as I've done over here, that if I enter something, come over here, and I say 88, for example, it's going to say you need an app.
Oh. Yeah, so it wasn't in your defined range, and so it went right.
Exactly. It's not in my defined range here, It's not that I've said, here is this over here, set my range, and I go all the way down. So now you have an idea of what to do with that particular, exercise that I give you. Okay, so try not to forget that one. I'm going to quickly spend the very few minutes that I have here now to talk a little bit about chapter 4. And chapter 4 is a little bit different. Now you're getting a little bit into the functions. And the reason we write function is very, very simple. We write function, so we don't have to rewrite things over and over and over and over again. That is really why we write function. So, for example, I gave you an exercise. I did some stuff in the class with you guys last time where I said we calculate hours, right? Correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so calculating hours, we could do something similar again. But I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, let me get out of this place. exit out of here. So I'm going to go to Nano again. I'm going to go to chapter 4. Right? I want to calculate hours now. Something we did 3 weeks ago. Right? The normal stuff that we did, and I think you'll remember that we had a box of code that we used. We leveraged that to calculate how many hours will somebody make and so on and so forth. You know, let's quickly do that again, just so you could, you will see an example of that. Let's say we have HRS hours, right, equals to raw underscore input, and I'm going to put my stuff over here, enter. Okay, close. And I can say rate equals 5, correct? Equals 10.5, age equals load.
Right.
Load, you can say hours. Okay. And say if, let's say age is greater than 40, for example. Right? We can actually even just, let's assume the hour, let's assume that this guy doesn't even do any overtime. Let's just say pay is, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just say pay equals to, as we've done in the class before, rate. Correct?
Mm.
Yep.
So then we can say, print. Okay. Anybody see any error messages yet?
Is the colon in your first statement correctly placed?
Huh?
The colon in your first statement, is that supposed to be there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
an issue.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be in front of the hours.
Yep. Hours.
About the right.
It's talking about the colon in the parentheses.
No, it's fine.
I can put it over here. It's supposed to be actually a delete here. Because
Yes,
I
that's
want
what I
to
thought.
capture
And then
it.
raw input. I
I
don't
want
know
to
if it
capture it
needs a
as a
space
raw
there.
input. All right.
Oh,
So
I see. Okay.
let's say have something like this. Everything you put over inside this code is just syntax, And here, I don't even have to go and define this as my. I can just leave this one as it is. I don't have to. I can take this out altogether if I don't have any fraction to put, right? So let's go ahead and save this out.
Do you need to specify the rate to be a float?
What is it?
No, because he declared it as a decimal.
Do I have to what?
That was hours that he declared as a float.
Do I have to go and declare it as a code? You know what I can do here?
But I see rate, he set it to a decimal, so it's automatically considered a
I
float.
wasn't. It's Python knows to do that, I suppose. I wasn't sure.
Yep.
I can just say, I can just call this one age equals float and put it in the rate here. If I don't really want to do anything at all, I can just remove, change my rate to 10 and just write a simple multiplication. And I don't have to scratch my head at all.
Right, because someone could put in, for hours, you could put in like decimal too.
Yeah, actually, I know what I'm going to do here. 1 second here. Over here, I can find the hour. Clear?
What happens if you put a decimal in for hours?
Then I can remove all this one at all. Or I can remove, this is going to be decimal. So enter raw input over here. Now, so it's going to take as raw input, right? Then the next thing I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to define my hours over here as an integer. I just come over here and say this one, say, h equals integer. You know.
So if you work 2.5 hours, it'll go to 3.
No, it will bump up now. I cannot enter a floating number for my hours now, right? Because I define it as integer. If I want to be able to enter fraction for hours, then I'll come over here and call this float.
Right.
That's what I was thinking you would need to do, because
You
most people
understand?
enter time and.
So by doing this one right now, I'm just doing this. Okay. Just for the sake of this, let's do this. We'll be fine. Come over here, press enter here, enter my hours, 200 hours.
That's a good week.
Well, then you have no life. Right? You can't, if you have a
Not
cat,
even
then
figuratively, you're dead at that point. Like,
what is
yeah.
that?
Not
Living
even
in a black hole.
figuratively, you just die.
If you work 200 hours a week,
Yeah.
because that would be like 200 hours a week. That means
That'd be more than a week.
Yeah, it is.
That would be there'd be a problem with the space-time continuum.
Yep.
there's 24 hours in a day. So yeah, that'd be more than a week, I guess.
168 hours in a week total.
Yep.
It'd be like that one thing from Interstellar.
I get you break so many law of nature if you can squeeze 200 hours in a week. Well, in a way, you could go into the future and borrow a couple of hours into the present.
Well, I heard they wanted to make the work week 8 days.
Well, let's get out of that. All right. So you see what I just did over here now? I wrote something over here, and we just wrote. And I went into this because I want to show you a really quick example so that you will see when we get down to this one. We wrote all this number now. Then what can I do now? I can actually go back and define a define a function. And I can call this one, let's say, employee pay, for example. And come over here and say hour here, hour here. And close it. Hold on. All right. Then I can say if h, right, is greater, for example, than 40. You don't have to put a space there, but looking at it makes it look a little better. Hold on here. And I'll say, come over here. Return Put a space. Hour minus 40. Because you're trying to calculate over time. Right? Times the rate, which is the normal rate, times a time and a half. Right? Plus the 40 hours that the guy normally works. Times the rate. Normal rate. Anybody have any question with this calculation?
Do you have any order of operations problems here? Just
Yeah. So we're saying if this guy work overtime, right? Calculate any extra hour he does and multiply with the normal rate and the time and a half. That this one is his overtime pay plus the normal rate, correct?
Yeah, so that should be separated out.
So it's okay when you multiply like this, you know, this guy knows how to sort it out for you. I can put a space there for you if you want to kind of see so that it can help you, you know, visually, it looks visually more pleasing to the eyes, but we're not doing anything different.
Oh.
This is your normal pay. This is your overtime.
Yep.
Any question on that? I'm showing you this one because we're not going to meet next week, and you're going to have something that is going to be a little bit interesting. And start your assignment on time. Don't wait until the last minute, because code is not something that you got to figure out already. So you might run into trouble. You want to leave it for a day or two and come back to it. So now I have something like this here, and I can come back here and say, all right, I want to make sure I get my spacing right properly, because that can definitely mess you up. All right, I'm going to now use my health. Okay. Return hour times rate. So you can see what I got over here. So what I've done over here, to take a look at this one, is I've defined a function. What's the name of the function? Name of the function, pay attention now because you'll be writing a lot of functions going forward. The name of the function is employee pay. See what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that function accept what?
Hours and rate.
Accept two arguments.
Yep.
Did you look
Two
at it?
parameters.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you need to enter these two value, hour and rate. And I've said if hour is greater than 40, do this. Else, just do a flat out what we did over here. You understand? Now I'm going to copy this that I wrote earlier on and put it over here. I'll go up here and remove this because I want my function to be at the top.
Yep.
All right. I hope you guys are paying attention now, because it will be your turn shortly. So now I can say my rate is 10.5. My
Don't we get rid of the print statement at the bottom?
I'll take care of that. Right? So I can say my hours is this raw input. My rate is 10.5, and I can come back over here and change this to floating so that I can accommodate anything I want.
Yep.
Now, some organization, if you work anything over an hour, they just wrap it up to the next hour for you. Some organization, they calculate to the last second. All right, so here, what I'm going to now do over here is I've calculated all this one. then I'm just going to say, I can say P equals to, for example, my compute pay, right? Which is this. Let me save some things over here. I want to make sure I got, employee pay, this one, print,
So you don't even need the pay equals R times H.
because I'm asking it to print what's in the function. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. So you can get rid of the pay equals R times H.
Yeah, I can get rid of it now with it because I don't need it anymore.
Yep.
Do you need the H and comma R on the end of employee pay?
Yeah, you kind of need it.
In the second one here, because aren't you just taking the function name?
No, those are arguments there. They're
Yeah,
parameters in the
there,
definition.
So I would put it there. Let's try it. I mean, let's try it. If we get it wrong, we'll go back and do it. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's put, you know, because, you know, let's say this guy, you know, he listened to your advice that, you know, you can be borrowing from the future. You got to work less hours. And now he works 140 hours a week. That's still a lot of hours to work in a week.
Yeah.
That's me. So, see that? See that?
1995. Let's see if that's right.
We can buy a lot of cats with that. If you like cat. Any question about this? So you can see now that we're leveraging function now. I'm not printing the rate, I'm just printing the function. Printing this function.
It's right.
And that is the crux of chapter 4. Chapter 4 really is dealing mostly with how you write a function. All the code is embedded inside this function. And we're just taking hours over here.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
What if we indent else to follow the same as return? Will it still work?
What if you do what?
Indent the else.
Where's S?
Yes, sir. If
If
we
you
indent
indent it, no, it will not work. Because remember, here's what we're trying to do here, and I will go over a couple of you know, stuff with you guys here. So here I'm saying I want to define a function. I call the function. I said this function is going to argue. It's going to take 2 inputs from you, and I say if h is equals to greater than 40. I want it to return this command, return this calculation. All right?
Yes, sir.
Everybody get that? Else. So if this is correct, it's only going to execute this block of code. You understand?
Yes, sir.
If it is not correct, I got to ignore this block of code by coming out here.
Okay, sir.
You understand? If
Yes, sir.
if I indent these else into this, then there's no else anymore, because then else becomes this code, part of the block of something that must happen if this is true. So I got to come back out here and say return this number stuff.
Okay, sir.
So
that's
then the next one that you want to deal with over here is really on the write a program that recorded a prompt to user for integer numbers. You know, we can look at chapter 5. It's totally up to you guys. You want to look for chapter 5, or do you want us to stop here and then we pick it up later? The call.
I think I got enough to chew on.
Yeah, chapter 5 is more about, you know, iteration, you know, and that can go on and on and on. It's kind of really fun stuff. There's a couple of idea on that. How about let's see what you guys where you get that.
I do have one question.
Yeah,
Can we talk about how to integrate comments back to printing comments back to the user if their entry does not fit in the validation fields?
Say that again.
I want to talk about feedback to the user for validation.
So you try.
So let's say our system, we wanted, okay, so let's say 168 hours is the most you can put in for a week. I want to set a validation to trigger if they try to put in more than that and tell them they're nuts.
Okay, so yeah, then we'll do what we did earlier on, right? Instead of saying here, remember else, I said return this one.
Oh yeah, video they do.
Yeah, all I'm just simply going to do in this case is I can use else, you know, helif to this one, right? And then use else as my last. So I can use helif here. I say if you do this one, print this one. Else if do this one, and then else you need to stop this. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of using else here, I'll use else if that I did earlier on.
Then you need to indent it to fit in line.
Just need to get out. So here this would just look like here you will have had else if over here, right? And it will be this code, and then you will come out here and come back here, and then you have else. And then you will say, come over here. You understand what I'm saying? Or you can actually, if you don't want to even run into that code anymore, you can, because that will run regardless, right? You can then say else, come over here, right? Print. You understand? You can put it in and say get for the live. Because this is going to be helif, and this is going to be health. In that case, first of all, and if you're going to do that though, before this can work, mind you, before this can work, I must set the boundary for this number up here, like I did earlier on, where I'm actually going to say, you know, age is between 0, you know, age is equal or less than 0. You understand what I'm saying? And age
less
is
than 168.
equals, yeah, less than equals to 160. You understand? At the beginning of my code here, I'm going to have to come up here and say something like, I don't want to modify this one, but I will go ahead and do this one. You come over here and you do something like this, if, right? 0 here is less or equals to age, and age is less or equals to 160.
8. 168. 24 times 7.
You understand what I'm saying? So you're defining your boundary so that anything that falls outside of that range would generate an error message.
So in my mind, I would go then after this line directly to print get a life, and then I would do elif h is greater than 40.
Say that again.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
So you define your boundary here. You come up here. You say h, if h is greater than 40, you're saying return this error operation, operation, and it's good. Else, return this one, and this is going to be else if actually, not else. Otherwise, we stop here. The else if return this one. Then you're going to say else. In other words, if it doesn't fall into that, then it would. There are probably 2-3 ways in which you could actually do this. If you don't want to put it over here, you can actually come up, but you really want to do this at the top, so that way you set your boundary right at the top, and if you enter anything that is outside of that range, you will know what to do.
Yes, you're not doing unnecessary processing.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say this. Now, do you want to go to chapter 5, or you want to, chew over this one, and then when we'll come back, maybe the week after next or next week, we'll go to chapter 5.
Yeah, I'd like to stop here myself.
All right, sounds good.
You guys go it. You guys.
So
there is such a thing as information overload.
Yeah. So let's stop here. I'll stop the recording. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So next time I'll make sure I do the lab before the.
Before
Yeah.
the class.
Yeah. So try and tackle the lab a little bit earlier. Once you do that, it will make things a lot easier for you. And don't forget to shut down your machine as well. That will save you.
To save the money.
Save you money.
Yeah, shut down your Google.
Yeah. It's a little important to do that. All right.
I'm really enjoying the using the Visual Studio Code, and the only thing I don't like about it is on the Macintosh I can't do the 2.7 version of Python.
Huh? Say that again.
I can't in my Visual Studio Code, that was presented in LinkedIn, those LinkedIn exercises. I've been using that and I liked it, but I'm only running the Python 3 in it. I haven't got it to run Python 2.7.
Yeah, I kind of like maybe they're both good. There's a value in both of them, but I like to kind of stick to one of them, especially for the class purposes. Otherwise, you get confused with another version. So, all right. Well, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Me too.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
See you in
Bye.
a couple weeks.